Pisces, welcome to your monthly horoscope for March 2026. My name's Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer. In these monthly horoscopes, I go over the energy for the month ahead. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. Now, let's get right into it. I do break the month down by week, and I select a chart for each week to give you a bit of a visual. So, coming into the month, we've got Mercury retrograde in your first house. So, there's a lot you're rethinking, reevaluating around you, your relationships. And also, too, being in eclipse season, what changes have you been in the last year around you and your relationships, you and your partnerships? Because that is what is being highlighted also coming into the month of March and, February being in eclipse season. On the second, we're going to have Mars entering Pisces. So Mars is going to enter your first house. And so, depending on your own natal chart, sometimes Mars can bring inflammation in the body because that first house represents the self, your character, your personality, your physical body. Sometimes this can bring, extra motivation, willpower, and drive. It all depends. Mars doesn't necessarily do the greatest in Pisces, but it does depend on your own natal chart. Now, on the third, we have the total lunar eclipse in Virgo at 12 degrees, which is highlighting your seventh house of relationships and one on one connections. So, what have you been navigating the last year around you and your relationships? This is going to give you an idea of what is going to be highlighted with that lunar eclipse. I also have a separate forecast going deep into the eclipse energy on my channel where I go into the chart for the eclipse and all 12 rising signs. So, make sure you check that out. Now, on the 5th, the sun is going to form a trine to Jupiter. So the sun is in your first house, forming a trine to Jupiter in the 5th. I do love this because the 5th house is um, children, creativity, passion, romance, hobbies, interests. Everything you do for fun is in that 5th house. And so I love this for some really beautiful support or opportunity coming in for you, Pisces. Also, too, the entire month, pay attention to your intuitive downloads, especially with Mercury retrograde in your first house. There's so much energy this month for dreams, intuitive downloads, premonitions, insights. So, this is a month to journal. Now, on the 6th, Venus is going to enter Aries. So, Venus is going to move into your second house of money and finances and material possessions. Now, Venus doesn't necessarily do the greatest in Aries. So, I will say, watch your spending. Make sure you're not spending too much. But what has Saturn and Neptune changed for you in this area of life around your money, finances, and personal values? Venus is going to form in conjunction to Neptune on the 7th and then form a conjunction to Saturn on the 8th. So there could be, more commitment here. There could be something developed here around money, finances, more responsibilities. I will just say, yeah, watch your spending just because of the Neptune energy, but there's something here around your money and finances. Now, on the 7th, also, we're going to have Mercury stationing, or sorry, we're going to have the Mercury Cazimi, sorry. And so, again, the 7th is a day you want to pay attention to intuitive insights, downloads, premonitions. It's a day to journal, anything significant that is showing up in your world. Once we get to the second week of March, on the 9th, we've got Mercury retrograde forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde. Now, February 16th was the first time Mercury trined Jupiter. This was during the pre-shadow phase. So, what was showing up around February 16th for you? This can give you an idea of what you will be revisiting. On the 10th, Jupiter is going to station direct. So I love this because when Jupiter is getting ready to station, Jupiter rules our optimism and our hope. And sometimes when Jupiter is getting ready to station, we feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So having Jupiter station is definitely going to be nice and bring some of that optimism back into our life. On the 13th, Mars is going to form a conjunction to the North Node. And so this is where we really do get fire under our ass to move forward with something or want to move forward with something. But there's still this lack of understanding and confusion because of Mercury retrograde and because Mars is in Pisces. But, whatever you've been navigating the last year, there definitely is more coming in around that at this time that you want to be aware of. On the 15th, Mercury retrograde is going to form a conjunction to Mars at 10 degrees. And again, depending on where your ascendant degree point is too, which you'll want to check, because the closer you are to the degree points discussed here, the more powerful this energy is going to feel. But this is where, Mercury retrograde can bring in, more confusion, misunderstandings, lack of clarity. So just be a bit mindful of this as we get to the end of week 2. Then once we get to the third week of March, on the 17th, we've got Mercury retrograde forming a conjunction to that North Node. This is a day, epiphanies, sudden insight, intuitive downloads. And Mercury is pretty much going to station on top of that North Node, which is quite powerful. So there is something around you and your relationships, or even you in some new direction you're moving into, that's very fated, very karmic this month. On the 18th, we have the new moon in Pisces. So we have your new moon this month, and it's not an eclipse. However, it's still going to be quite powerful and have the energy of an eclipse and bring in more change to the changes you've already been in over the last year. And that new moon is at 28 degrees, sextiling Uranus, which is bringing in this opportunity for significant breakthroughs, which I absolutely love for you, Pisces. Now, also on that day, we have Venus squaring Jupiter. So, Venus is going to be here in your second house of money, finances, and material possessions, squaring Jupiter. This can be overindulgence, doing too much of what you love, like gambling, if you gamble, or whatever the case is. This is too much, losing too much money, overindulgence. Just be careful, spending too much money. This is exactly what this energy is. So, just be careful. You're not doing too much of what you love, and then your bank account is cleared or something along those lines. Okay. Just be a bit cautious on the 18th. Then on the 20th, the sun is going to enter Aries and Mercury is going to station direct. So we begin Aries season, the sun moving into your second house of money and finances, and Mercury is going to station direct, pretty much on top of that North Node. Again, watch for powerful insights, clarity, epiphanies, powerful intuitive downloads. On the 21st, Mars is going to form a trine to Jupiter. So Mars is going to be here in your first house forming a trine to Jupiter. This is a water trine. So there could be something here like taking action based on emotions, or maybe something around children, or doing something really positive and significant with children, or creative projects and pursuits, or getting back to what lights you up and what you love. On the 22nd, we've got the sun forming a conjunction to Neptune. And so that can just bring in a little bit of confusion and lack of clarity around money and finances. Then we get to the fourth week and final week of the month. And on the 25th, the sun's going to form a conjunction to Saturn. And so this could bring restriction in with money or more responsibility and commitment in with money. It all depends on your birth chart. But it is a day to just be a bit cautious of, and that's the 25th, because we're also going to have the sun forming a sextile to Pluto. And then on the 28th, Saturn is going to form a sextile to Pluto. So there is a possibility here for like financial transformation of some kind. Um, but it all depends on your relationship to Saturn. And that's why I always like to look at it from both angles, because it all depends on your natal chart. It could show up, you know, where it's, beautiful opportunities around money and finances, or it could be more responsibility around money and finances, or delays or limitations around money and finances. And then on the 30th, we've got Venus entering Taurus in your third house. Venus loves to be in Taurus. And so as we exit March, some of the energy starts to shift, but you know what? This is the year of massive change. And so this whole year is full of change. So, like I've been saying to all the other signs, don't wait for the astrology to get good or to, be aligned. Don't wait for the astrology to be good, but just work with the astrology that we have and learn how to navigate that. All right, Pisces, where I hope this helps you navigate the energy for the month ahead. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll connect with you in the next one.